So on occasion, I get sent some very cool stuff on this channel. This is one of those things. This is from SmallRig. And if you guys don't know who SmallRig is, well, they make everything from cages to cameras to the lights that I'm using to wireless follow focus systems. And that is what I'm going to be checking out today. This is a long name, the MagicFiz wireless follow focus 2-motor kit from SmallRig. So let's check it out. But before I do, I want to talk about one thing. For those who don't know, when movies get shot in Hollywood or wherever they are filmed, in most situations, you don't have one person running around with a camera on a gimbal pulling focus. You also don't have, most production companies don't use autofocusing lenses. What happens in most situations is you have one person running the camera, framing the shot, and then you have another person typically in a different room, sometimes next to the person shooting, with a monitor who is pulling focus. And that's really what this product is intended for. It's not intended to replace something like this. So this is my Feiyutech Score Pro, and I have a follow focus motor on it. And what it does is it allows me to use manual, in this case, cinema lenses. So I can run around with this gimbal, and using this knob or this knob here, I'm able to control the focus when I'm trying to follow my wife. So it works very, very well, but it's a little bit more simple and really not nearly as nice as what I am reviewing in this video. So the first thing that I like about SmallRig is their packaging. Everything stores easily in a very nice case. Now in here you have a whole bunch of gear, a whole bunch of things that you can connect and make this system work for you. Now this is a modular system, and modular is just another way of saying that it's like Legos for grown-ups. So you put this together with your camera rig, and in theory, you can do some pretty crazy awesome things. So you get a lot of stuff here. I'm not gonna go through one by one, but I'll highlight some of the big things, some of the major items in this kit. However, I will say that this is kind of like a razor and razor blade thing where you need to buy a whole bunch of accessories to really make this work, unless you already have a bunch of accessories on your camera gear. So for example, for me, I was trying to rig up my Sony FX30, which is right up here. You see this on a tripod. So the first thing I had to buy was a camera cage itself. So that's this metal thing around the camera itself and around the bottom. And the one that I ended up buying is actually made by SmallRig. I paid for it retail, didn't get any discounts on it. It's a very nice, well-fitting unit. It has this really nice finish on it. The edges are kind of polished away a little bit, so it looks used even when it's brand new. And one of my favorite things about it is right here on the bottom, it has a little magnetic tool that you can use, a flathead tool, to tighten and loosen anything that you mount to it. So pretty ingenious, clever little design there. So that's the first thing. You will need a camera cage, even for something like the FX30, which has holes all throughout it for accessories. And the second thing is you're going to need some batteries. In fact, there are two types of batteries. So the first ones go into this handheld controller. These are Canon LPE6 batteries. So you'll need that for the hand grip. It goes in just like that. There is a battery inside of this circular knob that I'll explain here in a second, that is built in. So you need to charge that via USB-C. And then for the motors themselves, now this kit came with two motors. One is right here and one is already rigged up here. Those can be run off of either USB-C power, or with this clever little adapter, you can mount this to the top just like this, and then mount your favorite NP F550 battery, in this case, to the top. So in total, you need to have at least the camera, the lens, the cage, this whole kit, the batteries, the two batteries that are necessary to run this kit. And one thing that I don't have that would probably make this thing a whole lot easier is an actual wireless video monitoring system. So that way you can have this extra monitor that you could move around and you can have someone else dial in focus for you. So I'm going to talk about some of the important gear here. So the first thing is this large circular controller. And this is very well done. It feels very nice. It's made out of metal and rubber. You can change the color of the LED if you want to. It has a bunch of buttons here, lock, set, up and down. the Wi-Fi. Here's the screen. There's a record button and a mark. The record button is what you use to turn it on. So you hold that and it turns the unit on or off. USB-C, so you can charge this via USB-C. And again, inside there is a built-in battery. Has a little small screen. Now this whole kit, you can have up to 16 channels. So in theory, you could have up to 16 little motors running cameras, and you can have a bunch of different controllers. So that's pretty cool. You can make a whole bunch of adjustments and settings here, but in general, the way you use it is you simply rotate it and it rotates the focus ring on your lens. Very simple and straightforward. The nice thing about this is that it automatically calibrates. In fact, the whole kit automatically calibrates for each lens, and you only have to do it once. Even if there's a power interruption, it still keeps the settings for the calibration. What that means is that these lenses, for example, I'm using a 7 Artisans 50mm cinema lens right now. It has a limit, so it has about, I don't know, probably close to 300 degrees of rotation. And so it stops at that limit, and then it rotates all the way to the other end and it stops. And you can see this controller is perfectly calibrated. It actually hard stops, and it hard stops at the other end. So that means you can't over rotate. So that's done automatically. I didn't have to do anything. I pushed a button and it did it by itself. You can manually set some stops if you have lenses that just rotate in infinity, which don't have hard stops. So it's a very nice unit. Now, the cool thing about this little handle rotating knob is that you can add it to this handle right here, which has a little knob that you can use with your finger at the very front. You can actually take this plate off of the bottom of the knob, and guess what? It goes right in here. You take it like this, you lock it into place, and now you have this jumbo controller that allows you to control two things, two motors. So one with your index finger here on your left hand, and then focus with your right hand. And so I can mount this second motor on the same rod to control my aperture, and then control aperture and focus on this lens for my camera operator. So very cool. You can obviously mount this in many different ways. So if you had like a two-handed grip, you could have this on one side, the other handle on the other side, and you can run and gun that way. Everything's done just very, very well. That's one of the things about SmallRig, is that they are known for budget prices, but most of their stuff is just super well done, well built. And again, I've used their lights for the last, I don't know, almost year and a half probably at this point. I've used their camera cages on a number of other cameras in the past, and this is the first time I'm using a camera cage for the FX30. So stuff is really good. Now, they are not the only company out there that's doing a wireless follow focus system such as this, but I can tell you that this is very competitively priced. If you just want the single motor kit, it's very affordable. And the motors themselves are very good. I didn't talk about those, but I'll mention that real quickly. Here is what they are. Very simple from a design standpoint. There's just two buttons up and down here. There's two USB ports, a record, and then a charging port, and then it shows the input levels. The nice thing about this is that you can completely unlock these things and it opens up. So that means I can take this motor and clamp it onto the rod at any point without removing other motors that I've already established are on my camera rig. So that's a very nice little touch. Again, it's powered by either this or a USB-C cable. And if I turn this on, so I just hold these two buttons for a second, you'll see that these motors also have a screen on them, a very small one, and it shows you what channel it's on and then what the location is, as well as the power source that it's getting. And again, if you move it, it's nice and smooth, and you can see it's right next to my microphone right now. Very quiet. So really impressed with everything that is in this kit. Now, for me personally, I usually never shoot with another person. For the most part, I shoot all by myself, which is sad. But on occasion, I do have one cameraman with me. And so in order for me to fully utilize this kit, I would have to have 2 camera operators and have to run around, or maybe have someone else pull focus as I'm running around with a camera like this, which would be really fun. But also you need some sort of wireless monitoring system. I think I mentioned everything that I wanted to talk about. You can also use these controllers with wires. So there is a USB-C cable that's included. You can do that, but the wireless is definitely cooler, even though it does add a little bit of bulk in terms of the battery to your overall setup. I haven't tested any other follow focus kits, but from my experience using my gimbal and using the follow focus system on that gimbal, I could tell you that this beats it hands down in terms of performance. That's silent, more torquiness, overall better build quality, hands down. There's not even any sort of comparison to make between the two. Stay tuned for more, guys. I have a lot of exciting things coming up, a lot of things coming out. So if you aren't subscribed, please consider subscribing. Also, the last video giveaway winner, congrats. I already sent that lens out to South Korea. So congrats to the giveaway winner. Check out that last video. I'm going to pin that comment so you guys can see who won. A special thank you goes out to SmallRig for sending out this stuff for review. Keep doing what you guys are doing. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for more. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.